Hi, everyone, and welcome to another live broadcast where I share my experience and knowledge on personal finance, financial independence, and index investing. Today, I want to share with you one of my frameworks, which I call the Financial Independence Formula. It's a framework that I use to basically explain what financial independence is and how it works. In as few words as possible, basically. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. There you go. So you can see that, hopefully. So the financial independence formula is, as I said, a way for me to explain what financial independence is in a very simple way, and to also help people think about how they can achieve financial independence or accelerate their path to financial independence. So if you're already on your way to FI, I'm hoping this will give you ideas of ways you can actually make it better. And if you're completely new to this, then hopefully after this few minutes of video, you will have a good understanding of what it means and how it's done. So financial independence is often simply defined as the position that you're in when your passive income exceeds your living expenses and you basically don't need to work for money anymore. So if passive income, which is non-work related income, or income that you get without having to trade your time for money, when that is higher than your cost of living, then you're financially independent. So it's pretty simple, right? And we could probably stop there if it was a very short video. But the question is, okay, how do we achieve this? And if we are doing this, how do we get there faster, right? So how do we get there faster? Obviously, passive income is super important because unless you generate some kind of passive income, you'll never get to financial independence. And there are various ways of doing that. What I have prepared in this presentation are just the most common ways, and I think those that are feasible by most people, right? So generating more passive income, there's two components to that. One, you need to earn more to invest, and then we'll see what the second component is. So you need to earn money somehow, right? And so just working your job is one way, but you want to earn more. So getting a raise or get a better paid job, these are essential aspects of raising your income. And I like to focus on delivering value and doing things that have a lot of value for society. I believe that is what drives, your income up. You need to find basically things in your job that other people are not willing to do or they find it too difficult, and try to have a positive impact, and that will help you go up for sure in that space. I need to work hard and be smart, obviously, because it's not easy. Another interesting way of earning more money is simply to launch a business, I say simply, or a side hustle. So you can try to earn money on the side from your work, right? So if at work is difficult to be paid more for whatever reason, then you could try doing something on the side if you have spare time. And most of us do have some spare time. And then if you're very courageous, then you could start a business, either as a freelance or as an entrepreneur, building a startup. And this is it's a much more difficult path to follow, I would say, especially if you intend on if you intend on growing it and scaling up. It takes a lot of courage to be fully responsible for your own personal finance situation, and so being self-employed is, I think, sort of the ultimate way of generating income and being in control of, to a certain extent, of how much we earn, right? And then the other part of generating more passive income is obviously to make that income passive. So obviously, earning more money is one step, but you need to earn that money, save some of that, and then invest it. And so investing wisely is the other part of generating more passive income. And in my case, I used low-cost index investing as a vehicle to generate passive income, because based on statistics and the history of the stock market, when you build a low-cost portfolio of index funds, you can withdraw a certain percentage from it, basically for a long period of time without your portfolio basically depleting, which is often referred to as the 4% rule in the financial independence community, which I like to call rule of thumb, because it's obviously not perfect, and there's many situations where it wouldn't work, but there are some where it can work. So that is one way. It's very passive in the sense that once you've set up your investing approach, you've learned how to do it, and you've set it up, then it takes just a few minutes per month to manage. And then once you stop working, it also takes a few minutes a month, and maybe even a few minutes a year to actually manage that, because it's super simple to implement and manage. Which is why I love it, because it's very little work, super lazy, super efficient. And then the other way that we see a lot of people go after is using real estate investing. And I do refer to this as smart real estate investing, because buying a house is not it's not necessarily real estate investing. That is also an expense. And so doing it in a smart way is difficult. And then if you want to call it true passive income, you have to automate it and delegate a lot of the work, because otherwise you basically have another job. So if you do it in the right way, real estate can also be a powerful way of developing passive income. And then there's obviously a bunch of other ways of developing passive income, but these are the two main ones that a lot of people can actually get into real estate, because they understand what it means, right? Yes, you can buy a house and then get the rent, right? Obviously, you need to optimize that to be profitable. People understand that. And index investing is simple, because you simply invest in the stock exchange, in the stock market, and then long-term growth gives you some confidence that you can withdraw some money from your portfolio, and that lasts forever, potentially. So yeah, these are the ones that I like to talk about. Now, on the other side, we have living expenses, right? So earning more money and investing it so that you generate passive income is one aspect. But living expenses also play an important role, because that is something you have direct control over in most cases. And so reduced living expenses is something that everyone can do. And that's also where a lot of people actually get started, right? So in the financial business community, we start by by becoming more frugal, because we value things in a different way. So that's what we're going to talk about. There's one big way you can reduce living expenses is to look at structural changes in your life, because obviously your life, the way it's normally set up, is not optimized for financial independence, and it shouldn't be completely for that. But if you use FI as another criteria when you make decisions, then you could get financial independence much faster, right? So usually we start with the default settings, right? We live in certain place, you have a certain kind of work, we have habits in terms of transportation and food, etc. And I think their structural changes are difficult to make, but they can have a massive impact. So moving place, getting a different job in a different place, changing your mode of transport, like downsizing when it comes to housing, or going to a lower cost of living area. All of these moves can have tremendous impact on your journey to financial independence. And so they're worth considering. And I would say they're worth considering in the light of the other aspect of reducing expenses, which is mindset changes. So as you discover financial independence and as you start your journey on that path, then you realize that you also value your financial well-being in the future. You value your future security, future freedom, future independence. And so you're willing to make some trade-offs between today, certain things, and tomorrow. So, and I like to talk about this with 2 points of view. One is minimalism, which is getting more and more known as a way of thinking, which is trying to reduce your own footprint and minimize the things you own. Just reduce the number of things you own, minimize the space you use, etc. And that's because the intention here is to create more space for life, right? And at the same time, there's a good chance you'll be saving more money. It forces you to think about what is most important to you, and then how to get that in the most efficient way, while keeping space around you. And then the values approach is slightly different. It's complementary, but slightly different. This is where you really focus on what brings me most value, right? What in my life is most important? What do I really need, as opposed to what do I want, or what do I have and is kind of part of what society expects me to have, etc. And focus on that, right? And so it could be that some of this actually costs money, but then with the values approach, you will just spend on that and be happy spending on that because it's important to you. But the whole the process of actually asking the question, what's important to me, is super important, and it will unlock a lot of other things in the way you manage your journey to financial independence. So for me, it was spending time with my son and my wife, and then my family, and so that what drives a lot of my effort in how I structured my life for financial independence. And in some cases, that could be something that would slow down your path to FI, right? Because if that's important to you, you can do that today, then, it's okay to take a pay cut to have more time to be with your family. That's a completely personal reason, right? Personal choice. Um, and, but what's important is to focus on what's really important to you and then go after that, because you want to be happy today, not only in the future when you reach financial independence. It's really important to take care of yourself on the way there, because we only have one life and we don't know when it's going to end. Now, there's a couple of cool things to say about passive income versus living expenses. Passive income, the benefit is that there's no upper limit to how much you can earn. I mean, theoretically, there's no upper limit. There's maybe an upper limit, but it's really, really high. And so that's pretty powerful, because if you really focus on that and forget completely about living expenses, I mean, let's say you have normal expenses and you don't try to reduce them, but then you manage to earn a lot more, then you can get to FI in a decent, in a pretty quick way. But it does require a lot of hard work. And so you have to learn and think and be smart and work hard. Because making money isn't easy in general. So it has massive potential, but it's not easy. And then on the other hand, we have reduced living expenses, where we have the double benefit of when we reduce expenses, we basically increase our savings so we can invest more. So it's got, it has one massive benefit there, but also it reduces how much we need to live, right? So if we're happy with the values approach, if we're happy living in a simple way because we have everything we need, that we value the things that are important to us, and we realize that they don't cost very much, then the number, like the total portfolio size we are aiming for, isn't as great as it could have been if you didn't do that. That exercise of thinking of what you value most. So it has a double benefit. Reducing expenses has double benefit because it makes your journey to FI much faster by increasing how much you save and invest, and then reducing your target portfolio size. But there is a challenge there. There's, the key to that is to be able to challenge yourself and think differently compared to what society expects us to do, right? So we need to be able to question what is commonly accepted as a way of living, right? I don't know, this sort of size of house, this many cars, and what your family is expecting on you, right? Maybe your family, your friends, your peers at work, everybody, will have an impact. And there's certain things, especially when you make big structural changes, that people are going to look at and say, but what are you doing? You're earning, good money. How come you're only, driving this really old car? Or why did you switch to, riding a bike to work? Which, no, maybe that's something that a lot of people would support because of the health benefits. But, you need to be ready to be a bit different. So that can be a challenge. So there's both the challenge of being yourself able to cut your own expenses, which is a difficult thing to do when you're used to a certain, lifestyle. And then there's the challenge of being able to manage your relationships, where that doesn't bother you when, you're a bit different. You're not just following the herd. You're basically leading and creating your own path to a better life. And that gets easier when you have a plan, right? So if you know where you're going with your financial independence, and you've basically mastered one of the key components of a happy life, which is money. And once you've mastered it so well, it gives you confidence to be a bit different because you have a goal for it. You're not there just to spend. You're there because you're building freedom and opportunities and security in your life so that you can actually have a better life. So I find that very powerful. So anyway, that's a quick overview of this framework of mine, the financial independence formula. We could discuss each of those points in far more details, and maybe we'll do that in the future because each of those, each of those could be like an entire journey, an entire day of discussion. But here's a way of looking at the whole picture after stepping back and then thinking, okay, what are the pieces that are part of my puzzle and how can I play around with them? Maybe there's some pieces you haven't even looked at. Some, you've started your journey, but you haven't really looked at maybe side income, or you haven't really looked at trying index investing instead of just real estate or something else. Maybe you haven't really looked at structural changes, which are pretty hard to implement, but they are worth it. And any of those things could actually change your path to FI by several years easily, because they're very big ones. And so, yeah, I mean, I hope that you find value in this. If any of this stuff actually has triggered in you some, interesting questions, things for you to explore further, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear that. And if you have any questions on any of this, also let me know, and I'll answer the best way I can. If I've missed something, if you think that there's something big that is needed, that has to be added into this, let me know as well, and maybe I'll agree, maybe not, but I'd be very happy to take feedback and try to improve this, because I want financial independence to be something simple for people to understand, so that we can communicate this to more people and then make this the benefits of financial independence easily available to many more people. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I hope this was useful. Just gonna come back to the video to say goodbye. There you go. So yeah, I hope this was useful and that you've learned something today. If that's the case, let me know, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, take care.